Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Vlogs. Tracy here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make my new Tipsy Rose scarf. Now this is a scarf for the spring and the summer. As you can see, it's nice and airy and it's colourful. I've made this with a Lion Brand Mandala ombre yarn. It's not really ombre. To me, ombre fades, but this is just different colours to me. That's just how I feel. And this is with the colour Happy, and it is well, very happy when you look at it. It's just all the colours that you love. So this I've called the Tipsy Rose scarf, and there's a little story behind that. It doesn't go on for too long, so I won't bore you, but it's Tipsy because this is the drunken granny stitch, and Rose because that was my granny. And sadly, I didn't know her. Well, I did. She died when I was very young. Anyway, so while I clear this out of the way and tell you the multiples and how to get going on this, in the meantime, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be informed when new videos pop up. So just bear with me a second while I get this ready. Okay, so I manipulated the colour of this to some extent because I wanted it to end with one colour and start with another, and there is a little patch where this it's not very noticeable, but I didn't want my blue colour to finish halfway through this row, so I did pull off the ends, and to be honest with you, they were not big. That was two. And this was just one, so I didn't exactly pull off too much of the yarn to kind of manipulate the colours, but I did that. It's just my personal preference, but you don't have to do that. And I edged it with a picot edge, which I will show you how to do afterwards. Now the stitch multiple, I'm just moving that out of the way, for this is 5 plus 4. So I did 34 chain altogether. So you just need to make a slip knot. I'm using a 5mm crochet hook because this is a 4-weight Aran yarn. You can use whichever yarn you want. Just make sure you use the corresponding crochet hook for it. And if you're doing it with thinner yarn, you might need to make a few more multiples. But for now, I'm just going to do 34 chains, nice and easy. So I'm just going to pause it while I do that, because if I count it will put you off, and so I'm going to come back once I've done them. Okay, so I've chosen this yarn to celebrate the fact that I'm going to be stocking it in my shop soon. It's on order. So how we start this, if you haven't seen my shop, there is a link in the description box. It's hobbyrocks.co.uk. So if you're looking for this yarn, it will be there soon. So we're going to count back. We're going to go into the 6th chain from the hook. This here loop is not part of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into there, we're going to make a UK treble or a US double crochet. Now try not to pull this too hard, or that loop will get too baggy, and we don't want that. So I like to hold on to it when I'm making those stitches. So we're doing 3 into that same chain space. Okay, then we're going to chain 2 and do another one in that same space. So I'm holding on to it to make it not too baggy. And now we're going to skip 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 5th one we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do 3 UK trebles, which are US double crochets. Some people like to go through the 2 loops at the chain, but I always find that gets a little bit confusing as to where I'm up to. Now I'm going to chain 2 and do 1 more in that same space. It's a very easy pattern and very quick to work up, so that's good. We're going to skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In that 5th one, we're going to do the same thing. So that is our repeat, but it does help to take the, I'm going to do that again. Didn't go according to plan, did it? That's because I was talking at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to do that again. So that's 3 UK trebles or US double crochets. 1, 2, and that's my third. 2 chain and 1 more in the same space. Now we're going to do that all the way along until we've got 3 chains remaining. Exactly the same. So I'm going to pause it then, and I'll carry on until I get to my last 3 chain, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so here I am. I've got my last 3 remaining, and this is how it's looking. So I'm now going to do 1 UK treble or US double crochet in that very last chain, but I've kind of split the yarn there. That's it. So I've done my 1, and I'm going to turn. Now I'm not going to do any chaining, because from now on I'm doing the stacked double crochet, a stacked single crochet in the US, which will represent a UK treble or a US double. So I'm going to go into that stitch and pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through both of those, and then in this side one only I'm going to insert my hook and pull up another loop and yarn over and pull through both. Now that's going to represent my first UK treble US double and it's going to make the sides of our scarf. Now you can do more multiples, obviously turn this into a shawl or a blanket or a wrap, so it just depends, but the multiples, as I said before, are 5 plus 4. So this is how it's looking. Now we're going to begin the repeat of the whole thing. So in this hole, our 2 chain space, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to do 3 2 chain and 1 in there, and that's quite close by, but it works out doing all of those stitches in that space, because the next one is quite far away and it will pull it over, so it will stop it from, I think I'll split the yarn there. This yarn has not split on me at all. It's only because I've got a recording equipment in between. So yeah, it does look like it's going to pull round, but because we're going into this space now, that's going to bring it back. So we don't want it to be too loose, just a normal stitch. We're doing our 3 2 chain and 1 more in the same space. So that's pulled it nice and straight. And we're going to do that in every one of our 2 chain spaces all the way along until we get to the end. I'll do 1 more with you, and then I'll pause it and catch up with you when I get to that very last stitch. Okay, so I've made it all the way along, and now I have my 3 stitches, and I've got to go into the top of my chains to make the next post. This is the only end where I had the chain. So I'm going to turn my work, and again I'm going to do that stack, and I'm going to do that again with you because it was quite new to some of you. So I'm just going to insert no chain, insert my hook into that first stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through both of those in this one side only, and insert. Is only going through 1 loop. There's your loop that's on the hook, just 1. Going to yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of them. Okay, so now I'm going to do my 3 2 chain and 1 more stitch in that very first space, just as before. So for this row and all of the rows from now on, we are just repeating the last row, or this row. I'm going to do 1 in every 2 chain space all the way along until we get to the end, and I'll catch up with you here because this end is slightly different to the previous. So I'm going to do 1 more with you, and then I'll pause it and I'll catch up with you at the end of this row. Okay, so I'm back at the end again. Okay, so just this particular end is how every end of every row now will look. So we start the same way and we end the same way. So you've got your 3 stitches there, and this one here is the top of our stack, and you can go through those lovely 2 loops to finish our row. And it's not like, I'll split the yarn again, it's not like going through a tight turning chain. So you've got lovely 2 loops to go into and pull up and make your UK treble or US double. So that is how we're going to carry on. This row is our repeat. Now I'll just show you again my finished scarf, and because the actual colours work out perfectly for 10 rows, then the next row would finish somewhere along here, about here, I think. So I at the end of my 10 rows I did change colour. So I'm going to pause the video now, and I will catch up with you when I get to my 10th row, and I will show you how I've changed colour. Okay, so I'm not going to make it to 10, only because this part of this particular cake did not give me enough yarn to get to 10. So the previous cake that I used must have started with a colour, whereas this only had partial colour. So I'm going to call that it. I'm going to change my colour. So how I do that is I'm going to start my very last stitch, and I'm going to pull through 2 loops and then leave it there. And I'm going to get my scissors and just cut this yarn. Now I'm just going to have to pull some of this off, so that once I'll wind it until I get to the the blue. What am I talking about? Until I get to the blue yarn. It's starting to come in now, but I don't want too much of the green. So there we go. That's better. Take that out of the equation. And then I'm just going to hold this behind with this tail. So make sure they're all held together behind. So these 2 loops stay nice and normal size, and I'm going to just finish off with that. Now, because I'm making a little border around it, you won't see my knots. So I'm just going to knot this, and I will show you how I work my colour in. This tail I leave. Let me just pull that down a little bit. Move my scissors out of the way. I'm going to make a bigger loop. I'm going to pull it through. I've made that stitch a little tight. Never mind. So what I'm going to do is with this green, this tail, I'm just going to, you don't have to do this. If you prefer sewing your ends in, then please by all means continue sewing in ends. But you know, it's not my bag, baby. I don't like sewing in ends. And anything that I'm going to leave that there. Anything I can do to make life easier in that respect, I will. So this one I'm going to work over, because I'm going to go into there and make my stack exactly the same with my new colour. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how I work my yarn in now. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both, and then I'm going to go in to this stitch. I'm going to carry that yarn with me, just like that, and do another. So now I'm going to go into this hole here, this 2 chain space, but I'm going to have that yarn follow me around. Then I'm just going to drop it and bring this back. So I've got 4 loops on my hook, but believe me, you don't see them. I give this one a little pull just to bring it in a little bit more, and now I'm going to work over both of those. Now, depending on how long my tail is, I do that again. Let's have a look. Not really long enough, so I will just either cut that off or bury it in, go back on it. So this one I will just feed it through again, just the green. You won't see it because it's a green. You just don't notice it. And I want the blue one. trying to follow through. So let's move that out of the way. I will do just one more. You could leave it there. It does still work over. Okay, so now I'm going to leave the blue, and I will force that one back through there, and that will not budge then. So now I'm going to carry on as normal, but I'm going to work over this little tail. Now, of course, if you don't have to do this, you don't have to do the stacking at the front either. You can just make sure you do your chaining. But I find that the stack stitch is so much easier to work not only to work into when you get to the end of the row. That's kind of getting a bit tufty. That blue one has snuck in again, that's why. Let's pull it out. Okay, so yeah, it's easier to work in at the end of the rows when you put in your through the 2 loops, but it's also easier to pick up stitches along the side if you're bordering. Okay, let me just pull this down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to finish this row with my blue. Now you've seen how I kind of sort my ends out, because I don't like sewing, and I'll do some, you know, the odd one or two, but if it's a project that's got a lot of ends, then no, it's just not going to happen. I can't. I did do a few where I sat and sewed end after end after end, but I have to say it is not my favourite pastime. Okay, so I might as well stick with you rather than pause it, because I've only got a few left. And I'm only... I'm getting in the wrong hole then. Goodness gracious me. I have to watch that. Looks inviting, that big space. But it's not what we want. So now we're going in our 2 loops at the end, just as before, and finishing off. So what I'm going to do now is going to show you how I did my border. So I didn't bother going around doing a row of well, UK double crochets, US singles. Didn't feel like it really needed it, so I just did a little picot edge. Now my picots are not exactly the same as everybody else, you know, nothing I do ever is. So here we go, I will show you how to do that. So I just went into this same stitch that I'm just come out of, and I did a UK double, US single crochet. So now this starts my picot. I do 3 chain. Sorry, I was just doing it as if I didn't have to tell you. 3 chain, then I insert my hook into the first one, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now some people then just slip stitch that, but not me. I will do a UK double, US single crochet. So if you kind of lay that across, it will show you where you need to insert your hook. See what I mean? You get a nice border to actually insert your hook, bring up a loop, and now I slip stitch that. So that's my first picot. 3 chain, go into the first one, yarn over and pull it through, then yarn over, pull through both, and then if you cut, you can see that's where you need to put your next anchor point. So there you go, just carry on. I'll go all the way to the end with you of this row. So if you just lay it, you can see that's a nice space for it. But you get my drift here. You get to go through that split there, didn't it? Do you know, I never split this yarn. It must just be because I'm on camera. I've used it a lot and it's never split on me. So again, we're going to do another one. And what you want to do is you want to finish right at the corner, and you can manipulate that to a certain extent. So we're going to go in that one. Oh, leave it on the hook, trace. So now we want to go into this corner, and this was our chain corner, the very first one. So now we're turning and going along the other edge. Exactly the same, but we've got one that finishes at the corner and one that starts. So you want to go into this one. Sorry if I bashed You see, that fits, sort it out nicely. You've got one on this side and one on this side. So now we're just going to carry on going all the way around exactly the same way. And you want to make sure that you manipulate where you put your stitch, so that I don't really want to go in that big hole, make it even bigger. So if I lay it, it really wants to go in there, so I'm going to go in this one. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to go into this one. Okay, so I'm just going to do that all the way around our work. And I'll show you as well. That's how I did my border. I'm going to undo that because I realise now I haven't shown you how to square it off. So I'm going to do that first. So that's how I did the picot. Deliberate mistake. I will now show you how I squared this off. Because you've got a roughly edge. You can leave it like that. But, you know, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. So, back to the start. Okay, we'll ignore the ends. What I did now for I'm going to do my stack exactly the same. Okay, and I chained one, and then I've gone into the top of my, I'm going to ignore these ends, get out of the way. I'm going to go into the top here of this one and do a UK double, US single. So that will square that. I'm going to do another one in the next stitch and another one in the next stitch. I'm going to chain two, and I'm going to come over here to this stitch in our second of our chain, and I'm going to go into there. I'm doing a UK double, US single, and one in the next and one in the next. I'm going to do two chain, and then I'm going to go into the second one over here of our chain. So it would be the first one that we did in that row. And then I'm going to do one in the next, one in the next, and two chain, and carry on all the way across. And this will give us a nice straight edge like the one at the bottom. Of course, you don't have to. You can just do your picots in the ends of the stitches that I'm working into now. But I just feel like it makes it straighter because you have, you know, the same both ends, if you like. So now I'm at the end. I do one chain, and then I do my UK treble, US double crochet into that end one. And if I pull that out, you can see it's now a nice straight edge, and then I'll do my picots. So yeah, deliberate mistake there, but at least I remembered in the end. That's how I made the Tipsy Rose scarf. Okay, so like I said, you can use this stitch for shawls, blankets, anything, even garments, but it's a lovely airy stitch, and if you use a thinner yarn, then it's even lighter. But I just wanted to use this bright coloured yarn called Happy because it just said spring and summer to me. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.